and
This
turn off your
conference will now be recorded.
Welcome to another episode of Graceful Touch Speaks Out, where we meet with a wide variety of individuals within the health and wellness arena. Today, we have the distinct pleasure of speaking with Michaela as she speaks to us about when pain is more than physical. Michaela, why don't you go ahead and turn on that camera there?
Hi, Guy. Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. It is a pleasure to have you here today. So
Thank you.
I understand we're going to be talking about pain today.
Yes, and more specifically, when pain is more than just a physical symptom.
Mm-hmm. So pain, as a massage therapist, I see people in pain quite a bit. But what you're going to do is you're going to take us beyond the body pain, the normal body pain, and kind of take us more deep into the body to understand what's going on. And as I understand, this all springs forward from a personal a personal history. Am I correct?
Yes, I'm correct. And it's actually, when I look back, it was what has sparred kind of my entire life now as I am as a health and wellness coach. And so it's
Sure.
something that I hold so deeply that has both transformed my life, but also put me on this path to help women as well.
Awesome. So, Michaela, unfold for me just what happened, or in order that became the pivotal, life-changing moment for you.
Yes. So I had this very constant pain, and it wasn't a debilitating pain by any regards. It didn't necessarily keep me from anything, but it was a strong discomfort that I felt between my spine and right shoulder blade constantly. And when I say constantly, I mean years. I had had this, I was calling it a knot, but I had had this discomfort. And like I said, it wasn't debilitating, so it didn't necessarily keep me from doing things, but I felt it every time I even tried to take a deep breath and feel my lung cage. I could feel it. And most notably, actually, whenever I was merging onto the highway driving, because I lacked the full mobility when I looked over my left shoulder. So I, at the time, was living in Southern California, which you really need a car, right? We couldn't do much without it.
Sure.
And so it was just a constant feeling of discomfort that honestly almost consumed me. Like it was always there.
So let me ask you a question. When it comes to driving cars, is that a stress point for you?
No, not at all. I actually,
Interesting.
yeah,
I was expecting you to tell me yes.
I know. So, and it's actually funny that you asked that. I have a truck and I actually love driving my truck. I love my truck so much. My truck has a name, Trixie.
There we
And it was
go.
like, yeah. And it was the first time my daughter actually ever felt jealousy was when I bought my truck because I loved her so much and the experience of driving her.
Well, there you go. Awesome. So, because where I was kind of going with that is when I have people come into my clinic that say neck and shoulder issues, I ask them if they are dealing with stress and whatnot. And that's oftentimes what the situation is. Now, let me ask one other question as we dig deeper in here. Did you have any other major stressors going on in your life at that time?
So there you hit the jackpot. And yes, life.
Well, there you go, right?
Yes, I was really and it had been years, just a constant state of just nervousness and anxiousness, really in that flight or flight stage. I would say 24/7 problem sleeping. I was in corporate America, and so the demands of my job was quite great. I was a single parent. I actually had my daughter. I just turned 22. So when I had her, she's 13 now. But so the stress of single parent and just, all that comes with particularly trying to create a career and raise a child by yourself from such a young age that I never felt like I could get ahead. And I was constantly just overwhelmed with the sheer amount of responsibility that I had. And none of the responsibility, like, I mean, I had several successes. I think I'm like a great mom. I had several successes in my career, but the gratitude or the appreciation of what I would had done well was completely overshadowed by what I didn't do or what I still needed to do or what I could do better.
Mhm. So, when I have people come into my clinic, what I find often is when they have stress, where do they keep it? Any idea?
Yes. And so I'm definitely, and I've spent a lot of time thinking about this. I'm definitely that upper body and I'm that neck, shoulder, but I'm also a huge jaw clencher. I grind my teeth at night. I clench my jaws. I actually have TMJ. And so when it gets like really cold, my jaw locks a little and I actually usually put like two pencils between it just to kind of release. But so I am
So
a
that in itself is going to add even more stress to the neck and shoulder area.
Yes. And I actually, the TMJ came, I think it was like I was in kindergarten when we found that out. So that was not,
Wow.
yeah, that was not a new thing.
I
That
don't
was,
think most people get TMJ in kindergarten.
yeah. And
Mhm.
I had been, because I was a habitual grinder, like starting from a very, very young age.
Interesting.
Mhm.
So the reason I kind of developed that a little bit is because, well, we're talking about pain is more than physical. And we've gone a little ways into the stress dynamics and everything like that, which would be more than physical. But I think you want to take us further.
Yeah, no, I would definitely love to. And so, like I said, so I had this pain, this discomfort, and I expressed some of the just the overwhelmed, the stressed out. So clearly there was a lot more going on than just that pain and discomfort I had in the back. Although that is actually what I gave the most focus on because I think we as individuals, kind of that physical dimension, it's the most tangible, right? And so it's easier, I should say, not always easy, but to be able to, point to a piece of pain or maybe make our goals to eat better, to drink more water, to move more, but really diving to the next level of just ourselves is usually where we have problems. And so at this time, I was just searching. Like I was searching and I was actually searching from a place that I was broken. Like there was something wrong with me. Like I'm not whole. I'm not complete. There has to be something wrong with me because I am by all standards incredibly successful, but I don't feel the part. Like, is this even me? And so that's really
When,
what got
when are they going to find out the truth?
exactly.
Hmm.
Imposter syndrome, like that voice in my head. Even when, I had successes, I would worry that one little thing that didn't meet my own expectation could like unravel the decade and a half worth of successes that I'd had.
Right, right, right. I
Yeah.
understand that because I've gone through that a little bit myself. All right. So, question is, so you had this point at that time. Had you previously been interested in the body's health, in health and nutrition? Had this been a course for your life previously, or is this when you started really coming into it?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And I mean, I would say I always had an innate interest towards just developing myself. I was always into self development, like, reading books, podcasts. And actually, I remember when I was very young in my career, I think I was, oh goodness, 24 or so. I was living in Santa Barbara. My daughter and I were in Santa Barbara at the time. And I actually created an entire, like for my coworkers, we had a group that worked out together. I created this entire system called Body by Michaela,
Oh yeah.
and And this at the time kind of where I was struggling had almost forgotten about this, but I built an entire program and I would lead workout stuff, and I built this program around the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual realms of health, and creating an accountability group and goal setting that we actually did together, and it was amazing. So the interest had always been there, but did I use it to empower me throughout kind of my whole life? No.
Okay, gotcha. But you were at least credible enough that your peers and whatnot recognized this as one of your talents to the point that they were willing to invest their time and energy into what you brought forward.
Yes, yeah, and it was great. We had a group of people. I even made T-shirts, like with the iron-on thing, "Body by Michaela," and then I had a little dog tag that I made everyone's name. So,
Nice, nice, nice. All right, so now as you build forward into your coaching program and whatnot that you do and how did that, is this, are you doing this full time at this point?
yes. So I'm a
Good.
health, wellness, and mindset coach for women, and I work with women to help banish feelings of self-doubt to live a more fulfilled life.
So I'm gonna, I think I remember having a little bit of a dialogue on that with you before. Um, why the four women part?
Oh, so that's a good question. So I actually do work with some men through more individual coaching. They don't necessarily go through my program, but I also don't necessarily market to them as much either. But I feel like I just relate better. And there's also a piece of, good coach always makes sure they're creating a safe space and a space that is free of judgment. And my role as a coach, right, is to support and to ensure that I'm remaining curious, right? I have no judgments, no biases going into the work with my clients. And I'll be honest, like going through such like a huge kind of emotional journey that my program is with men, it's just the relatability isn't always there that really facilitates kind of the openness that, and so there's a piece of it that I want to make sure I'm giving the people that invest in my program the best experience, and I'm just more open, like women and I can create a better dialogue.
So what I basically hear is you want to be able to know that you can be personally invested.
Yes, and provide value and kind of be, go in and be able to disarm any sort of triggers that an individual may have to sharing vulnerabilities. Because the true transformation comes from the depth of the work. And if I can't always get to the depth, then, I'm not providing the fullest transformation possible.
So does your system normally work within a group concept or individual?
Individual. So I do more one-on-one. I haven't actually done group coaching yet, but I'm building out a program and kind of testing it. So that'll be in the future.
There you go. There you go. Awesome. All right. So I I get the idea that your ideal client then would be a female.
Yes.
Is there any other attributes to your ideal client? If you could have the perfect client come through your door today, what would that perfect client look like?
Yeah. So she's usually in overworked in both professional and non-professional personal settings. A professional that has children, and she's teetering that point of burnout where she feels like she's tried everything, nothing works, and because of it, she's broken.
Got it. Got it. All right. Now we go ahead and go forward then. What do you, so you're wanting to build a group setting as you move forward, um, and you are also doing individual. 2, 3, 5 years from now, where do you want to see yourself within your profession?
Yeah, so within my profession, I want to have my ultimate goal is to have a membership, like a monthly membership that provides health, wellness, and mindset support to women.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, is that all upfront training type thing, or do you see yourself creating books and things like that along the way as well?
Yeah, so how I envision it is, there'll be a repository of resources that include training. There would be weekly laser coaching sessions where individual participants or members of the community can come on for 10 to 20-minute sessions in a group setting, as well as provide additional support through movement, whether it be deep stretching or yoga, and then just general mindset. So I see kind of a repository of education and also live education, but then the community of ongoing support as well.
Awesome. So there's 4 elements. You mentioned physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual.
Yes.
Let's touch each one of those for a moment. So physical is obviously going to be the body.
Yes. And taking care of your body through exercise, healthy eating, sleep or non-sleep rest as well, and self-care and movement. And hydration. We can't forget hydration, but it's really kind of unlocking.
Absolutely.
Yes, and giving your body what it needs really on a biochemical level, right, to optimally function.
Awesome. Awesome. So we got the physical, mental.
Yeah. So when we talk about mental, it's really around the health of your mind. And so are you nurturing your mind to live in a positive mindset? Are you actively doing activities to reduce or mitigate the effects of stress on your life? Are you doing things that keep your mind sharp? And most importantly, or actually, I think they're all important. I don't know why I said that, but are you building a sort of mental resiliency? And that's actually the mental resiliency piece is a big part of what I work with my clients because of that negative inner voice, that critic in their head that, whenever they try something new, you're going to fail or you're not good enough. And so the mental aspect and building that positive mindset and empowering self-beliefs is a large piece of the work.
Nice, nice. All right. So you mentioned mental. What was that? What were those words that you said? Mental resiliency.
Yes. And yeah,
That's a big word.
yes.
What is that?
Yeah, so mental resiliency is really around the health of your mind and being able to overcome and thrive in challenges versus allow them to keep you stuck. And so resiliency in and of itself, it's, it can be a buzzword every now and then, but really your ability to be flexible and overcome and adapt to changes without it shaking your self-confidence to a core that you feel like you're taking several steps back.
Nice. Okay. So we've got physical, we've got mental,
Yeah.
emotional deals with pain.
Yes, yeah. And so emotional is huge as
Tell me
well.
more.
And yeah, so emotional is related to your feelings and your ability to maintain balance with your emotional landscape. And so this is actually huge because a lot of the emotional work we do actually is where I put in some like nervous system regulation because when we feel an emotion or a feeling, it really, it's almost like a cycle. It's a wave, right? And so you're going to feel a peak emotion at some point. And are you allowing yourself the moment you need to cultivate a sense of internal safety and be able to pass through that almost like maximum intensity so that you can respond versus react? And so it's really around cultivating like emotional intelligence and also looking at how you interact, how you receive and give support to others.
Respond versus react. I think that's so important. I mean, everything you're saying is important, but that key right there is a golden key.
Yes.
All
And
right,
it's
so
like,
we've
it
got
sounds so easy,
physical,
right?
and yet in words in the book it sounds easy, but in practical life, it can be tough. It can be
Yeah.
tough. So we got physical, mental, emotional, spiritual.
Yes. And so spiritual is really that sense of purpose and connection to the larger picture that you have. And so spiritual, it can be religious, like religiously attached, but it can also be cultivating that sense of connection outside of religion. But it's really around kind of feeling that state of flow and being embodied with why you're here and the larger contribution that you make. I kind of like to think of the spiritual as like you acknowledging and embracing the ripple effect that you have. So it's not just one
Mhm.
action, but is your action rippling out and affecting and producing the greater good for those around you?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Michaela, what haven't I asked that you were hoping I would ask?
Yeah, so I guess the only other thing would be it's beautiful to be able to preview and look at your own health through this broader holistic perspective. But the other thing, and this is actually where I spent a lot of my time in my own development process, but it's also around understanding the interconnectedness of it all. And so that interconnectedness and understanding how things influence each other in our everyday life was ultimately what brought me down to the path of being able to resolve my pain. And so I was doing everything from a physical perspective, massage therapy, yoga, stretching, everything possible to relieve this pain. And during the same time is when I started to get more into understanding my holistic wellness and giving kind of respect to the multiple dimensions that I am. And I actually made a commitment to myself to start journaling. So every single day, I took just like one piece of paper, and I had a smaller journal. It wasn't a full size. I did a little cross, and I did physical, I did mental, emotional, and spiritual. And I just spent 2 to 3 minutes on each talking about, or writing about rather, what my initial thoughts were. And what I found is this was such a powerful activity. And in the beginning, I overthought it, right? Like I felt like every single thing needed to be profound and, kind of uncover the depths. But once I really realized, like, it's kind of, let me just put what I'm feeling, I started to make these connections in my everyday life. And so by acknowledging, as an example, from the mental perspective, maybe my inner critic was on overdrive. From a spiritual, maybe I felt lost and unconnected. From an emotional, my heart was beating too fast. From a physical, I had this pain. So my physical was always the same. Like if I can do one thing, it's get rid of this pain. Like it shouldn't be that hard. And so as I'm journaling throughout, at one point, I just had this beautiful realization that I always feel as if I carry the responsibility of the weight of the world on my shoulders.
Got it. Got it. I really have appreciated it and enjoyed just what you have expanded on and how you've brought this forward today and whatnot. Um, I'm going to ask you again, is there anything else along with everything you've shared a lot? Is there anything else you'd like to bring forward?
Just that every single thing that any individual is searching for, you can find it inside of you. All of the answers already exist within you. It's just taking a pause, taking a moment to be able to reflect inward and really trust the experience of life and what you can bring to the solution.
It's taken a moment to stop and realize what you can bring to the situation. Am I getting close?
Yeah, no, you're right there. So many of us, we just search for the answers externally, but the answers lie within you. If you just commit to really taking a broader perspective and view of all the dimensions that make up your wonderful, beautiful human experience.
Awesome. Awesome. So, Michaela, I'm going to go ahead and just do a quick overview of who I am. Then I'm going to bring you back in. Go ahead and drop your screen for a minute,
Okay.
and then I'll be right back. All right, so I am Guy Severson with Graceful Touch Massage Therapy, co-owner with my wife, Irene Severson, here in Rapid City, South Dakota. We are massage therapists. We've been in practice almost 5 years with over 400 five-star reviews on Google. We are the leaders. We are the best when it comes to massage in Rapid City. Not only that, but we also have a product line of over 50 different natural, certified organic, plant-based products that are second to none. That you can find at gracefultouchproducts.org, or if you're in Rapid City, gracefultouch.org. Along with that, if you'd like to be like Michaela and have an opportunity to present your own wellness mission and plan, you can do so by contacting me on Instagram. That's my leading social platform, at Pain Relief, the number 4, the letter U, Pain Relief for You. Now, without further ado, we're going to ask Michaela to turn her screen back on. And there you are. Oh, awesome. So now I'm looking for a golden nugget. You've said a lot. You've helped us. You kind of expanded in a lot of areas. I'm looking for a golden nugget. Can you give me one?
Yes. Whenever you want to make a change, look inward so that you can discover the answers already lie within you. You need to commit to the process and be open and vulnerable with yourself so that you might take the step forwards that will best support your journey.
That's excellent. The answers already lie within you. Now, I'm going to ask you a question on this, and I don't generally do that. I generally let you have the golden moment, and then I close at that point. But something just came to my mind. What about like reaching out to others and whatnot that are out here, and the networking that's out here? That's not in me. So does that have a part in your process?
Yes, so having a support system definitely is a huge part that can help motivate every individual's growth. But what I find is that when you're really trying to look at the reasons why you don't feel more this, you really need to commit to that inward work because no one else can tell you why you're not as happy as you should be. No one else can tell you why you don't feel as confident as everyone else says. And so being able to balance the inward activity that needs to happen within your outward support system is incredibly important. But in the end, they can't answer the questions that will truly bring change to your life.
Very well said. Very well said. Well, Michaela, I want to say thank you for taking this moment with us, this time with us, to share your heart to the Graceful Touch audience. It's I think it's over 30,000 people now. So, oh, I forgot a huge part. How does anybody get in touch with you?
Oh, yes. Well, thank you. So I'm on Instagram. My handle is at readynowmindset_. And if you want a guide to the whole health model, I invite you all to visit www.readynowmindset.com/health, where I have a free resource that walks you through everything you just heard about today.
Awesome. So that's Ready Now Mindset.
Correct.
Awesome. ReadyNowMindset.com or ReadyNowMindset_ on Instagram.
Correct.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you once again, and look forward to catching up with you out on the socials.
Perfect. Thanks, Guy. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Stay on the line.
Okay.